What time is it? Game
Welcome to TNS, your channel for all the latest news updates from around the league. Zach LaVine and the Chicago Bulls have been ready for a separation. While the trade still hasn't happened yet, everyone is trying to make it happen. The Chicago Bulls and Zach LaVine have a mutual understanding that a trade is best for both parties. The Bulls have presented upwards of 15 proposals to teams over the previous weeks. For the Chicago Bulls to successfully trade Zach LaVine, Johnson believes that interested teams will likely have to attach an additional asset. It's been incredibly difficult for the Chicago Bulls to trade Zach LaVine, and his agent Rich Paul wants to make sure that everyone knows LaVine has been professional throughout it all. League sources indicated that the Kings and Warriors showed the most interest, although in the latter case, they've since made moves that likely signal another direction. Rather than have to give up draft assets they don't have just to get off LaVine's contract, the Bulls may decide that keeping him and letting him build trade value to be the more prudent route. If the Bulls did the unthinkable and kept Zach LaVine, they'd have a fun group of players, but one with obvious flaws. The Bulls traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey in a trade that looks increasingly worse for the Bulls. They also re-signed Patrick Williams, drafted Matas Buzelis, and signed free agent Jalen Smith. The Los Angeles Lakers are running out of time to make a significant addition in free agency. Another potential option for the Lakers to explore is a blockbuster trade with the Chicago Bulls for two-time All-Star Zach LaVine. A potential trade that has Los Angeles sending some combination of D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and either Gabe Vincent or Jared Vanderbilt. LaVine's sizable remaining contract combined with a $43 million cap hit in 2024-25 have likely played a role in the Bulls' inability to find a desirable trade. There's also the reality that LaVine is coming off a season-ending foot injury that required surgery. LaVine played in just 25 games last season, averaging 19.5 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game, while shooting 34.9% from long range. Chicago may have to attach future draft picks in order to deal the former All-Star. Given the lack of a market for LaVine, the guard could be attainable for Los Angeles, but it is unclear if the Lakers are interested in the Bulls veteran. A backcourt with LaVine and Austin Reeves presents a lot of challenges for the Lakers. While Los Angeles could make a deal work, the Lakers insider is skeptical about the franchise wanting to add the two-time All-Star. The Indiana Pacers, Denver Nuggets, and Chicago Bulls could collaborate on a three-team deal sending Zach LaVine to Indiana. The Pacers would need to part with a player who they have relied upon like T.J. McConnell, but a healthy LaVine could make the Pacers unstoppable offensively. The Bulls would have no use for McConnell, so they could move him on to the Nuggets, who are looking for a backup guard after salary dumping Reggie Jackson to the Hornets. The Pacers received the best player in the trade and a first-round pick for their trouble, whereas the Nuggets add a much-needed bench piece to help their hopes of contending in a stacked West next season. There would be defensive concerns to address, but the Pacers would be so electric offensively that no team might be able to stop them. They get a pick in this deal for accepting the LaVine contract, as well as giving up a young prospect like Walker and a veteran like McConnell. This is a fascinating deal, but it's hard to envision a situation where one party doesn't feel hurt about what they're giving. The Nuggets have been trying to save money, but a deal for McConnell directly adds to their salary while giving up two prospects they've known to be invested in. That might not be a steep price for a backup guard, but the Nuggets need a move like this to keep themselves as relevant contenders. The Bulls would feel miffed about giving up a pick and the best player, but what they're receiving with Jarace Walker should be worth the price. His ceiling is really high, and if the Bulls can develop him correctly, they'll have a do-it-all defensive big with explosive athleticism making all-star teams. The Pacers will be uncomfortable with taking a chance on LaVine, but it could be a game-changer for their franchise's future. They're a young contender who can afford to take a chance on LaVine as their team coalesces around Halliburton. Getting him for such a low value will allow them to contend now and give them the flexibility to move off him when the contract is closer to its end. The question is, why are the Bulls having such a hard time trading Zach LaVine? He's a two-time All-Star who averaged 27.4 points on 51% shooting just 4 years ago and should be heading into his prime at age 28. For whatever reason, the relationship between the Bulls and LAVINE turned sour 2 years after he signed a $215 million maximum contract. LAVINE is owed $43 million this season and has $138 million remaining for the next 3 years. Teams like the Los Angeles Lakers, Clippers, Golden State Warriors, and Sacramento Kings could all desperately use Zach LAVINE. If he hasn't been traded yet, though, it must mean that Chicago's asking price could be high. As the days go on without movement, something will have to give. Would the Bulls be okay with bringing LAVINE back if they can't find a good deal for him now? Should the Bulls be willing to move him if they have to attach additional assets to him in a trade? Would Rich Paul and LAVINE accept coming back to Chicago? Those are all important questions that we are awaiting answers for. LAVINE and his agent clearly want a trade, but whether they will get it still remains to be seen. Check back soon to get the latest trade news and updates. As always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel.